Potential energy. Introduction. Definition of energy. Demonstration. Potential energy, kinetic energy conversions. Dropper popper. For this demonstration, you will need the following materials: a dropper popper and a tennis ball. Drop the tennis ball and the dropper popper from the same height and tell students to pay attention to where the ball and dropper popper reach after one bounce. Demonstration. Potential energy, kinetic energy conversions. Astro blaster. For this demonstration, you will need the following materials: the Astro blaster and safety goggles for the demonstrator. Hold the Astro blaster 4 inches above the table and drop it. Compare the height reached by the red ball to that of the red ball when bounced by itself. Demonstration. Potential energy, kinetic energy conversions. Newton's cradle. For this demonstration, you will need a Newton's cradle. Lift up the first ball about 3 inches and let it go. Point out that the end ball goes nearly as high as the first ball. Tell students to observe what happens to the last ball when the first ball is raised higher or lower. Demonstration. Potential energy. For this demonstration and the next experiments, you will need the following materials: 3 pieces of track, 2 white plastic connectors, 1 tape measure, 4 large blocks of wood, 1 small block of wood, and 1 golf ball. First, demonstrate to students how to perform the experiment. Place the small wooden block on the black line at the end of the track. Put 1 wood block under the start end of the track. Release the ball from the beginning of the track. Measure the distance moved by the small block. Potential energy is related to height, mass held constant. For this experiment, students will use the materials from the previous demonstration. Students should perform the experiment demonstrated by the VSVS team members and record the results on their observation sheet. Then tell students to add a block to the beginning of the track to change the starting height, and repeat the procedure. Then have students add a third block and repeat again. Make sure students record the distance traveled by the wooden block for each experiment trial. Have students predict how far the block will move if a 4th block is added to increase the height, based on the line drawn between their previous points. Have students test this hypothesis. Potential energy is related to mass, height held constant. For this experiment, students will use the previously listed supplies as well as 1 squash ball. Using a constant height of 3 blocks, have students roll the squash ball down the track and measure the distance traveled by the small wooden block. Then tell students to roll the golf ball down the track and measure the distance traveled. Have students graph their results on the observation sheet. Questions for review. What is energy? What is kinetic energy? What is potential energy?